Welcome to my Vision News. Friday's second video. First one is from the US, where PM Abiy attended US-Africa Summit, 3-day-long summit. He was hosted by Joe Biden at White House as well. In US, some Tigrayans tried to confront PM Abiy. A Tigrayan lady tried to reach PM Abiy, accusing him of being a genocider. We know that there were demonstrations outside the venue where African leaders held meetings with the US senior leadership. Tigrayans, Oromos, Amharas all protested there, chanting slogans against PM Abiy, Ethiopian federal government. But individually as well, some Tigrayans tried to confront PM Abiy. A Tigrayan lady managed to get close to PM Abiy. We have a clip for you. Secondly, viewers, Joseph Borrell is EU's chief of political and security affairs. He has been very vocal against Ethiopian government regarding Tigray crisis. And if you remember, a few months ago, he had said that he was disappointed with the response of some EU countries regarding finalizing of actions to stop violations of human rights being committed in Ethiopia. And a few hours ago, he shared some numbers, how many have been killed in Ethiopia since the start of conflict in November 2020. He mentioned PM Abiy's Nobel Peace Prize as well. So he seems to be pointing his finger towards PM Abiy for this large number of casualties. And lastly, viewers, another Ethiopian journalist has fled Ethiopia. A few weeks ago, Tamnat Nagra fled Ethiopia to the US. Now, another journalist from SNNPR has fled Ethiopia. He is seeking asylum abroad. Firstly, viewers, we know that whenever Ethiopian government officials visit US, other foreign countries, Tigrayans try to confront them. Tigrayans protest as well. We know that Tigrayan diaspora community has been protesting since November 2020, but they try to confront these government officials as well personally. We saw in the last 2 years or so that Ethiopian Minister of Economy was confronted by Tigrayans. I think Ridwan also faced the anger of Tigrayans and some other Ethiopian government officials in their foreign trips. PM Abiy attended US-Africa Summit along with other African leaders in Washington, D.C. And there we saw demonstrations outside the venue of discussions between African leaders and US senior leadership. Tigrayans, Oromos, Amharas all protested. But individually as well, a Tigrayan lady tried to confront PM Abiy, where Ethiopian delegation is staying in Washington, D.C. reportedly. The lady could not get very close to PM Abiy, though she managed to reach the area where PM Abiy was, but she could not confront PM Abiy personally. We have a clip for you showing this lady accusing PM Abiy of genocide of Tigrayans. Tigrayans are angry, of course, diaspora especially. Their loved ones killed. They were hoping for military victory for TDF. Did not happen. They were hoping for an independent Tigray country. Did not happen. And now TPLF and Ethiopian federal government, they are preaching peace. So they are frustrated. They have some own grievances as well. Personal grievances. They have lost their family members. That is why we'll keep on seeing this reaction, though reconciliation is needed between Tigrayans and other Ethiopians. That is the only way to move forward. Watch this clip from the US.
It's time to go, ma'am. I'm sorry, ma'am.
The Prime Minister of Ethiopia is your genocide.
Madam, it's time to go, please. Please.
Give me my
Just right
stuff.
here. Promise you. Just come this way. I will get it for you.
እናንተ ሆዳሞች
Right here, right here.
የትግራይን ህዝብ እያስራባችሁ ሆዳሞች
Madam.
የትግራይን ህዝብ እያስራባችሁ የትግራይን ህዝብ አንደር ሲዳርጋችሁ እየበላችሁ ሆዳሞች Everything. My phone too. Give me my phone. Abiy Ahmed gets you up to the side. What?
Secondly, viewers, Joseph Borrell is EU's head of political affairs and security, very vocal against Ethiopian federal government. If you remember, when talks were held for finding a peaceful solution to Tigray conflict in Pretoria, South Africa, EU was not made part of talks. UN was there, US was there too, African Union, IGAD, but not EU. Why? Because EU's Joseph Borrell has been critical of Ethiopian federal government, Eritrean government as well. A few hours ago, Joseph Borrell spoke. And he lamented what happened in Tigray, in Ethiopia. He has shared some numbers. Joseph Borrell claims that between 600,000 and 800,000 people were killed in Ethiopian conflict. And they were killed in fighting, due to hunger, due to siege, due to cutting off of basic services, due to no electricity, several reasons. He pointed his finger towards PM Abiy, that it happened while a Nobel Peace Prize winner was leading the country. He accused the government, that government suspended services in a region of Ethiopia that led to humanitarian crisis and violations of human rights were committed and no accountability so far. EU is calling for accountability. US as well, in some meetings held between the PM of Ethiopia and US officials in the US urged Ethiopian government to grant access to UN investigators to travel to Tigray, to other areas where abuses were committed. A 3-member UN inquiry commission visited Ethiopia a few weeks ago, but the commission was not allowed to visit Tigray. Both these entities, US, EU, they are calling for accountability. But are they really sincere in this call for accountability? Or will they keep on issuing such statements to put pressure upon Ethiopian federal government? EU has not restored direct financial aid for Ethiopian government, though it is helping Ethiopian government indirectly through humanitarian assistance. US is supporting Ethiopian government gradually. Support is coming through World Bank, through IMF. Watch the clip showing Joseph Borrell of EU. Take a listen to what he said about crisis in Ethiopia.
Then one thing that has kept me very busy and very sorry and very frustrated is Ethiopia. Not enough people talk about it. We don't talk a lot about Ethiopia. Yes, from time to time when there is peace discussions, but what has happening in Tigray is the most deadly war. We complain rightly about what's happening in Ukraine, but what happened in Ethiopia is really awful. The figures that we have is that between 600,000 and 800,000 people being killed. Can you imagine? And most of them by famine, not fighting, but by famine, cutting humanitarian support, cutting electricity, cutting any kind of public services, and that for months and months. And I remember that this being done by a government which its president or prime minister is a Nobel Prize laureate. We went to Ethiopia at the first visit of the College of the Commissioners, because Ethiopia was a light of hope in Africa, and the Ethiopian government was presented as someone who made peace in Tigray with the Eritreans, and things looked very good, and some month later the war started. You can discuss politically who is to be blamed for the reason for the war to start, but the result is that for months and months this has been a continuous violation of human rights at a massive scale. And we talk about 800,000 people being killed. There is not such a mortality in any other place in the world caused by a war.
Lastly, another Ethiopian journalist has fled Ethiopia. We know that a few weeks ago, Tamat Nagra departed Ethiopia for good. His wife confirmed that Tamrat would be staying in the US. He was arrested I think last year, at the end of last year. He remained in prison for some time. He was granted bail and then he decided to leave Ethiopia. He did not say any word against the government when he was released. And then he fled Ethiopia. Now, another Ethiopian journalist who is from SNNPR reportedly, he has announced his departure from Ethiopia. Nathaniel Getcho is the name of the journalist. He worked for Wolaita Times, which covered news stories about Wolaita. Wolaita Times closed. Nathaniel Getcho was arrested. He was granted bail a few weeks ago, and now reportedly he is not in Ethiopia. He has announced his departure from Ethiopia. He's going to seek asylum in Germany. So, and we know that in Wolaita, in Gurage, there are some issues which are ongoing issues because government wants to create a new regional state comprising some zones. But Wolaitas, Gurages both want separate regional states without having other zones or cities part of Wolaita or Gurage. Both want separate zones. Government is against creation of any new regional state along ethnic lines. We have seen protests in Wolaita, in Gurage as well. Strikes too, and some groups in Wolaita, in Gurage, they support independent means separate regional states, part of Ethiopia, but separate regional states like Oromia, Tigrayan, Amhara, for their people. That is why crackdown is underway both in Wolaita and Gurage, because government could make a decision in coming months about creation of a new regional state in SNNPR. House of Federation of Ethiopia is considering proposals about creation of such a new regional state split with SNNPR. That is why Wolaita Times was closed after government crackdown, and now Nathaniel Getcho has fled Ethiopia. So another Ethiopian journalist is seeking asylum abroad. We know that Lucy Kasa was forced to flee Ethiopia as well a few months ago. She was accused of supporting Tigrayans or Tigray. Later, Tigrayans turned against her, and her flat was raided in Addis Ababa, and then she fled Ethiopia. Lucy Kasa, Tamat Nagra, Nathaniel Getcho, and several others have fled Ethiopia. Thank you for watching.